This is probably the coolest GPU in more ways than one that I've ever built with. The effort to make this card look both incredible and run incredibly cool is pretty awe-inspiring. This card is the ASUS ROG Matrix RTX 4090. This is really the most exorbitant RTX 4090 that you can buy. It has a monstrous performance and, unsurprisingly, a monstrous price tag to match. There's only a few components that are for those of you who won't put up with anything but the best, and this graphics card is very much one of those. First of all, an RTX 4090 is an expensive investment in itself. But this card, which is fully liquid cooled with a triple fan AIO and all of the ROG trimmings, is doubly so. Which begs the question, is this ultra premium card from ASUS really worth it, or are you better off building your own custom loop? This card certainly has some great features, which separate it from other out-of-the-box 4090s on the market. The copper cold plate that cools this machine is attached via a liquid metal thermal compound. This thermal compound has been taking the extreme overclocking world by storm. The boost in thermal transfer makes it effective when applied to this GPU, which can draw up to 600 watts. The other vast difference between this card and other cards is the look of the card. It is simply incredible. To begin, the Matrix looks very much as you'd expect an ASUS Republic of Gamers product to look. All swathes are black with their red eye logo and holographic text, but then it begins to separate itself. Various shades of grey are combined with a dark acrylic window custom engineered cold plate, giving you a slight hint of the pumps and tubing that are inside. That is the element which really makes this Matrix stand out. Everything is crafted from thick metal which feels cold to the touch and has a perfect surface structure. To the untrained eye, this looks like an industrial design, not just a combination of front cooler and back plate, with a PCB sandwiched in between. ASUS reserves a ROG Matrix brand for only the fastest GPU of each generation. So with the RTX 4090 having emerged as the leader, the company hands it over to ASUS's in-house overclockers to give the ROG Matrix the highest factory overclock for a production RTX 4090 to run out of the box. This card comes with a 2670 MHz boost, which is a 6% increase over the 2520 MHz reference speed. But the ASUS Strix peaked at 200 MHz higher than it is rated, and that was air-cooled, so I'm expecting this card to get well into the 3000 range. So now, let's jump into the testing.
So we have fired this thing up and we'll test this card back to back against a traditional out-of-the-box graphics card on superposition, and after this we will run both cards through Firmark for the same period of time to see what temperature each card will hit. Well, for superposition, here's what we got with the ASUS ROG Matrix. It managed a score of 34,611. On this benchmark, it reached a temperature of 52 degrees, and running at low 50s is pretty damn impressive on this intensive test. Now we can switch across to the ASUS TUF RTX 4090. I wasn't expecting a big drop off because any 4090 is still a beast. So unsurprisingly, it scored lower, but really only marginally, delivering a score of 34,309. However, this graphics card ended up reaching 60 degrees at the maximum, so an 8-degree jump compared to the water-cooled model. So that means the ROG Matrix GPU will perform better thanks to the higher clock speeds, all the while it stays cooler, thanks to the liquid metal and 360mm radiator. Also, potentially, the ASUS ROG Matrix could score even higher. We have the GPU at default settings to keep the comparison more standardized, but in the software you can set the power draw to 600 watts and jump the performance up a bit more. Now we can switch across to Firmark to get an accurate temperature test on these two GPUs. The ASUS ROG Matrix averaged a pretty astounding 51 degrees, while the ASUS TUF still averaged a very respectable 56 degrees. So 5 degrees higher, but not a massive gap. This makes sense considering the ASUS TUF has a massive cooling unit itself. So really, the Matrix 4090 is good for a few more frames when gaming, has some enhanced cooling, and finally has a unique look to cap it all off. The simplest way for me to put it, if you'll allow me a car metaphor, is that the ROG Matrix RTX 4090 is to the regular RTX 4090 what a Porsche 911 GT3 is to a Porsche 911. Both are incredibly quick, but one is a bit quicker, a bit better built, and a huge amount more expensive. So to some, the slightly extra benefits for the more than slight price increase is worth it, but to others it is enough to just have a Porsche. It's the ultimate graphics card for the line, money is no object, and nothing but the best will do.